Hi everybody, welcome to DailyDieselDose.com. Today we have a chance to take a look at a 1966 Walter AWS model. Now, for long-time visitors on my site, you may remember seeing this truck back around 2012. That's when I first noticed it here at the town of Camillus. Shortly after that, in November, it went up for auction, it sold, and I assumed I would never see it again. But here we are in 2015, and once again, it's back on the auction block. Now, from the auction paperwork, we know a few things. We know the year, we know the model. They tell us that it has a Cummins 6-cylinder in it. We've got just about 23,000 miles on the odometer. Doesn't start, doesn't run. No keys, rotted, rusted. Pretty well used all the way through. But it does have a transferable title, so not all is lost. Now, as I mentioned, this is an AWS. That's not alphabet soup. That's actually something that can tell us a lot about this truck. Starting with the A, that gives us the cab type. And in this case, it's an 84-inch wide cab. It's most likely it's sitting on top of a Walter 6-speed transmission, if it hasn't been modified. The W tells us about the power plant in this truck. And in this case, it's supposed to be a gas-powered Waukesha engine. According to my notes, about a 1197 cubic inch motor is what it would have been. But as you can see from this video right now, we're looking at a turbo. So it's been repowered sometime over the years. Now, it wasn't uncommon with these Walters to head back to the factory after maybe 2-3 decades of use and get an upgrade. Switching from a gas to a diesel was a very common decision that was made by many highway departments. And as you can see, we've got the exhaust running up on top of the cab, and we actually have the bracket for the old gas engine that used to be in there. Looks like it's still hanging out. So it's my bet that this wasn't repowered at the factory. Probably would have been a little cleaner job if it had. Now, I spoke with a few people at the town of town of Camillus, and they said this truck came from the town of Manlius. So they're not really sure who did the repowering. Wasn't them. The U in AWS gives us the gross vehicle weight of the vehicle. And in this case, we're at 54,000 pounds. And the S just talks about the wheelbase of this vehicle. In this case, it would be sort of the standard dimensions, 138 inches. Now, talking with the guys here at the town that were selling this rig, found out that apparently one of these axles is busted, snapped, and it doesn't run in any form or shape. They bought it strictly for parts back in mid-90s and never really used it for the intentions that they had. He said they came out to try to start it a few weeks ago before the auction and had to drain about 5 gallons worth of water out of the engine. Wouldn't turn over. That's probably why that pump is sitting there. So as I mentioned, this has definitely been repowered. It has a Cummins. The question is which make. Haven't really been able to determine. An NTC 350 was a very common transplant. I believe this is some type of tag here. It's pretty well painted over. Haven't been able to see anything else that would tell us definitively. There's the firing order. There's a bird's nest. It seems to be pretty active. I don't see anybody in there now, but hopefully I'm not bothering anybody. There's your air cleaner. There's your steering box right here. This old one has a lot of interesting little bits and pieces. still left on it. We've got the spotlights all around. They look really great shape, to be honest with you. Up front we have where the V plow would definitely be mounted. I mean, this is really heavy duty material right here. Double wings on both sides. No idea where that stuff is. Lost the time, definitely. I believe back here, these are the fuel tanks, one on both sides. And right underneath, this is pointed out to me that this is actually a storage compartment for chains and whatnot, and you can actually see them rusted in there, but that's not opening anymore. There's the tanks. Obviously very, very large tanks, especially when you were running the gas engine. As much as I enjoy the sound of a diesel, those old gas engines are something to behold on their own. Okay, so we're gonna hook the camera up here in the cabin. From the description, it's pretty rough. It's rotted all the way throughout. The headliner is collapsed and it's rotted throughout. But we're going to see if we can pick out a few details. Keep an eye out for the engine hump that actually used to be able to be removed to service the back two cylinders when the gas engine was in here. You may also catch a glimpse of the Walter 6.2 transmission that shifted from right to left, which for most of us is a little backwards from how a transmission usually works. So let's see what we can find out. So we're back here taking a look at the rear end of the Walter, and there's some of the components there. Now, it's my understanding that the transmission and the transfer case on these Walters were pretty much one and the same. It really wasn't a separate unit. There we go, you can see what I believe is a component to the famous tagline of 100% traction. Rusty, a lot of birds, a lot of wires hanging around. But this is part of the reason why this truck and so many of the other ones like it were just unstoppable when it came to plowing snow. Of course, you really got to work out as a driver with these compared to anything new. They were slow and they were heavy and made a lot of noise, a lot of fumes. You really know at the end of the day that you had done some work when you drove one of these trucks. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any comments, please click subscribe and let me know down below if anything I said was wrong, incorrect, incomplete. Love to hear from you. Thanks and goodbye.